attending. I appreciate it. I'm Anne Plese with Ramini Street, and today we're talking about IT strategies to accelerate digital transformation, and more importantly, how to pay for that or how to fund some of these initiatives based on what Ramini Street is seeing from our client base and the market. So some of you may not be familiar with Ramini Street or our business model. So I'm just going to do a little bit of a backgrounder. So Ramini Street is the leading third-party support provider for Oracle and SAP ERP systems. So that means that we run, maintain, and support ERP systems on behalf of our clients. And these systems include SAP ECC environments, SAP S/4HANA, Oracle E-Business Suite, PeopleSoft, Siebel, and JD Edwards. We also support database workloads, including open source. And we also support Salesforce instances post-implementation. We are about 15 years old. We have 1,500 employees globally, predominantly software engineers because we're a support business. Annual recurring run rate is about 350 million a year, and we do business in 149 countries on planet Earth. So as a part of my role here at Ramini Street, I work with our clients on a day-to-day basis to help them get more value from our services, right? And I reached out to a number of our clients to prepare for our conversation today. So today we're going to focus on three things. Number one, what we're hearing from our clients relative to their digital transformation strategies and where their priorities are. Number two, we're going to talk about some common operational barriers, or what I would call hidden costs, right? And how Ramini Street helps take those costs out of business. And then finally, I'm going to leave you with some strategies on how to reallocate capital and resources based on our client experiences, okay? So again, to prepare for our conversation today, I reached out to the IT teams and IT leadership and the companies you see here. So what I'm sharing here is just a snapshot of Ramini Street's state and local and educational client base. They helped inform me of what their priorities were and what their barriers were. And I'm going to share as much of their feedback. I asked them, what are the top challenges or burdens that's really putting pressure on your ability to deliver IT services, right? And what are you doing about that? And they gave me some pretty good feedback that really fell into four common areas, okay? So the first one is, obviously governments are the top targets for security hacks, right? Specifically around ransomware. And I do know that there is a very key piece of US legislation on the table now. It's the State and Local Cybersecurity Improvement Act, right? Which hopefully will unlock over 500 million, right, in funds and federal grants to help our clients and the industry address some of these attacks, specifically around ransomware. And our clients have many, many concerns in that area. And I'll talk more about how we're partnering with them. And then the second concern they shared with me was around their ability to foster and transform and really drive innovation. They're facing some serious headwinds. They're also seeing an increased demand due to population growth, right? So what they shared with me is that they're seeing increased demand on their services and access to their systems, right? In order to meet taxpayer expectations. That's a huge challenge for them. And then finally, the aging workforce and difficulty in attracting IT talent into their organizations. And a lot of that, well, all of this is just a lot to deal with, But even more importantly, there's additional friction. What I see when I talk to a lot of our IT leaders in our client base is they're making way too many trade-offs, right? With respect to budget allocation. They have a significant amount of capital locked up in just operating existing systems today. And they have very little wiggle room to really drive innovation or fund some of the priorities or some of the initiatives and the challenges that I just shared on the previous slide. So this budget model, it has to change. Okay. Also, the feedback from my client base really fell into three areas in terms of what their operational challenges were and where we found some hidden costs. So I'm going to address each one of these as a part of our conversation today. So number one, our clients share with me that obviously their mission critical and ERP systems were very important to running their business, but they don't necessarily see these platforms as a platform for innovation. There's just too many other opportunities. Number two, in terms of operational challenges, is just endless backlogs or way too much effort that it takes to actually deliver against IT service levels and the expectation of their users. There's just too much getting in the way. And I'll talk more about that. And then number three, and probably the most important part of our conversation today, is that our clients are really looking to automate and increase visibility to malicious behavior and fortify their environments. All right, so let's go ahead and dig into number one. All right, so what you're looking at here is the average cost from a pool of 70 Ramini Street clients, the average maintenance spend that they usually spent with Oracle and SAP. So this is a model that we built with these clients. So on average, our clients would spend approximately $2 million a year on maintenance agreements, right? Now, rule of thumb is that if you want to upgrade, you typically double your maintenance spend over a period of 5 years. So annualized, that's about $800,000 of additional hidden costs, right? Now, customizations. When you do upgrades or migrations, you typically break your customizations. And Oracle and SAP maintenance agreements don't support customizations. They just support the package software. So on average, our clients were spending an additional $600,000 a year to fix the code that broke. And then finally, self-support. So every fix that you get from Oracle or SAP is typically bundled with a software release or an enhancement pack, right? And our clients on average spent $600,000 on regression testing to get those fixes through to production. So when you take a step back and you look at the overall cost in terms of supporting ERP environments, there's millions of dollars, right, in supporting these systems. And it's a huge challenge for many of our clients, especially those who don't really see that their systems as a platform for innovation. Now, I'm gonna switch gears here. I'm gonna share one story. Now, in terms of avoiding an upgrade, we've actually worked with Lexington, Kentucky, the city of Lexington, Kentucky. And when we approached this client, they made the decision to move away from Oracle and move to Ramini Street, just move the maintenance of their ERP systems to Ramini Street because they couldn't find a business case to upgrade their PeopleSoft environment. The IT leadership team for this client was facing a $2 million upgrade. They couldn't justify it. So they made the decision to move their support to Ramini Street because they really wanted to run a stable PeopleSoft platform and really avoid a very destructive upgrade. They wanted to focus on other things. Now, I think it's really important to mention this. When our clients moved to Ramini Street for our support, they still have access to and own the perpetual licenses that they paid Oracle good money for, right? So in this case, this client still owned the software that they paid Oracle for. They just moved the maintenance to Ramini Street. The value proposition for the client is really about the fact that Ramini Street's different. We support your customizations. Oracle doesn't do that. And many of our clients have critical business processes they built around these customizations. We support that. In fact, one of our Oracle e-business clients had over 15 million lines of customized code, which we continue to support when they moved under our maintenance and support agreements. So this client actually was able to maintain the functionality in their payroll and financial systems under our support, and they clawed back $2 million of capital that they reallocated to improving different performance of their ERP systems, as well as improving the SLAs for their users. And then finally, when they moved under support, we also automated their payroll, tax, and legal upgrades. So Rimini Street does have that capability for HR and payroll modules for PeopleSoft. And then finally, as a part of that $2 million, they avoided a very disrupted hardware refresh. So again, this is one key strategy that this particular client used just to claw back and save capital and reallocate those capital. Now I'm going to move to our second client example. So this is out of Chicago, the Metropolitan Water and Reclamation District. So this is a very large client for Ramini Street. They moved to Ramini Street in 2019. The value proposition was to move away from SAP support, and we helped them meet specific budget targets because our services, our maintenance services, are typically half the cost of what they were paying SAP. Now, what did they do with some of the capital and the savings? They actually attacked a project backlog and reduced the amount of effort and a lot of the things that were broken around the systems, right? They actually moved to ensure effective utilization of SQL Server instances company-wide. Also, as we all felt as a part of the pandemic in 2020, we helped them make sure that all of their employees had to work from home and had the productivity and connectivity to be able to do that, right? And then they moved an SAP Concur Go Live project live in July. And they also did some tweaking in their compute infrastructure with Cisco. So all of these projects and all of this effort and their resources, instead of focusing on a 2 to 3 year major upgrade, they actually were able to get more value from their systems, right? And improve the compute capacity and do a lot of things that were much more important and what they needed based on their roadmap. Let me shift gears and focus on another case study. Okay, so this is the city of Tempe. They moved to Ramini Street support in 2018. So you can kind of see a theme here. So they moved their PeopleSoft instances in a PeopleSoft environment to Ramini Street. We cut their maintenance budget in half, freed up some working capital, and gave them some flexibility to fund other specific projects. Now, they also moved their database environments under our support, and I'll talk more about that. But with the amount of effort, instead of focusing on doing a major upgrade, they actually focused on upgrading their databases, right? We worked with them to mitigate vulnerabilities, right, by implementing virtual patching for their databases, as well as zero-day protection for the application and middleware. So Ramini Street has these security capabilities, which I'll talk about as a part of our conversation today. And then finally, in 2020, we helped them with a go live for a very heavily customized absence management application, right? And then if you fast forward to today, this client is really facing another round of significant budget cuts due to COVID. I'm sure that we're all impacted by that. So we've shifted our conversation with the city of Tempe. Now, remember, for the city of Tempe, we removed Oracle from the equation. So all of the break, fix, and maintenance since 2018 has been handled by Ramini Street, okay? But they're facing budget cuts. So they're coming back to Ramini Street and they're asking us, okay, we've got another set of budget targets that we have to meet moving into 2021. So Ramini Street, would you consider expanding your catalog to actually run our systems? All right, and that brings me to number 2, right? So it's very common for clients who move to Ramini Street support to also have contracted with a systems integrator or maybe another management services provider to run and maintain the systems. Now, for the city of Tempe, they actually had a pool of contractors as well as employees that managed all of the tickets and cases outside of Ramini Street queues, or what we call level 2 and level 3 cases. So Ramini Street actually saw the break fix, or what they had traditionally logged with Oracle. So we were pretty curious. Now, the remit for Ramini Street from the city of Tempe was, please help me meet another set of budget targets. So we took a step back and did some analysis. We asked the city, can we please analyze an historical queue of tickets outside of our own break fix queues, right? If you can give us all of the cases and tickets, all of the incidents and service requests that's being logged by your AMS team, and if we can actually look at those cases and evaluate where we see the most effort. Our goal was to work with the city of Tempe to say, okay, how about we improve your service delivery and give you extra engineering capacity? If you have a lot of backlogs that we're just that you're seeing here, let's dig into those and figure out what's really happening. So we do ticket analysis for our clients. We've been doing this for over 5 years. Remember, we're the break fix and the level 4 support, but we always like to have a handle on the cases and tickets that are front ending a lot of the incidents that flow into our queues. Here's what we found for the city of Tempe. More than 65% of their tickets related to security and workflow reassignment. So there were some business processes and maybe some manual processes, or maybe there was a skills deficit in terms of managing incidents and remediation. So we worked with the city to really understand, where was that effort? Obviously they're facing budget cuts. So we also learned that approximately 40% of the tickets related to financials, right? So the graphs that you see in front of you is a reflection of what we found when they gave us their ticket history. So this is information and analysis that we didn't really have line of sight to until we stepped up and engaged in these conversations with the city. So you can obviously see here that there's a heavy burden for security and workflow assignments, right? There's some standard errors, and we also discovered that they were having challenges with table creation and process issues. You can obviously see here we classified the tickets so that they have complete transparency and current state of exactly how stable their systems were and where we could step in and help. Here's the key takeaway. We're actually working with the city of Tempe now to expand their services catalog with Ramini Street. So we're now going to take on more of their service requests and incidents, right? So we've designed a catalog for them that includes always-on engineering with expertise in root cause, with an engineering capability and a run and maintain mode that includes preventative maintenance and continuous improvements. So our ticketing model also includes unlimited cases. That means that the city of Tempe, with our application management services for PeopleSoft, could log one ticket with one vendor, and next week, if they had some specific issues in their system, they could log 2 tickets, or they could log 2,000 tickets. It would be on us. So they don't have to worry about different spikes or specific issues, right? So the key takeaway here is Ramini Street is moving to expand our services capabilities and move more into running systems on behalf of our clients. Okay, so I'm going to this couple more slides here in terms of how our services works. Now I talked about obviously vulnerabilities and increased amount of attacks and ransomware. Specifically, these were issues and challenges that a lot of local city and governments face. So I wanted to take a moment and help you understand that in the course of when Ramini Street takes on our client ERP systems and supports them, about 8 or 9 years ago, when we started to take on database workloads and support database workloads for our clients, many of them became concerned because traditionally they receive vendor patches from Oracle or from SAP, right? So, well, what we found was that the vendor patching was a little bit problematic because you receive patches from the vendors that really addressed known capabilities. Another challenge that our clients came to us with was the fact that you had to apply these patches meant system downtime. And that was real, it was a hit to their productivity and their operating model. Okay, the key takeaway there was costly operations. What we had modeled with our clients is for one particular client, that meant $3.3 million a year to support their vendor patching costs, right? So that was an environment that included, I think it was about 350 application servers, and the model was about 2 patch cycles per year, and it was analyzed over, or annualized rather, over 5 years. So here's the key point. We decided to actually go into market 8 years ago, and we OEM software. It's called Advanced Database Security, that allows our clients a better option and more operational productivity, right? So let me take this to this. So from a security perspective, we have 2 solutions. We have Advanced Database Security, and we have Advanced Application and Middleware Security. So these particular technologies are way more advanced than the vendor patching model. So let me take Advanced Database Security first. That includes virtual patching. So we have the capabilities to provide our clients with software that actually will scan the memory of a database real time. It looks for anomalies and will prevent any attacks on the database. It's virtual patching. So our Advanced Database Security offering, we started OEM it about 8 years ago. It actually helped our clients to automate their database environments, meaning that the actual management console from Advanced Database Security solution will help. You can actually do a data feed to help security operations team understand exactly what's happening across their database environment, okay? It also includes a capability to print out specific reports that can help you satisfy compliance and security compliance. So that particular solution, we've been running it across these local governments for over 5 or 6 years. Now I'm going to switch gears and focus on our application, advanced application and middleware security. So that's a little bit different. So for those clients, for SAP and Oracle clients, we actually have a software capability that offers 0-day protection for the middleware and application layers of the IT stack. So what that means is that, you know, it's really about it's not virtual patching, but it's a application middleware technology that uses Java runtime detection and remediation. So instead of the downtime that I spoke about, this is actually 0-day real-time protection for known and unknown vulnerabilities. This application middleware software is ideal for older environments that are end of support. Okay. So if you look at the slide here, you can clearly see we manage significantly large database environments for a lot of multinational companies, and we have the software and security capabilities to maintain and fortify these environments. Okay, so how does this all work, right? So, okay, Anne, I understand that, you know, I can move my maintenance to Ramini Street, and I obviously see that maybe you can run my systems. Let me break it down for you. Okay, so if you look at the bottom half of the slide here, if you look at the application software licensing and vendor application support, that's a traditional software vendor bundle. That's your traditional Oracle and SAP bundle. Now, you saw from the city of Tempe, as well as Lexington, right? We broke that. So they actually moved the maintenance and support to Ramini Street and still had access to the software that they paid for. And you saw the value proposition obviously is the fact we do customizations, right? And we show up with some security capabilities and security solutions to fortify these environments. Then if you look at the top part of the slide here, you know, the traditional system integrator and application services bundle, the area in the blue is what Ramini Street has expanded to support. So 5 years ago, we actually expanded our catalog with a number of our clients globally to move from just maintaining and supporting their environment to actually running their environment. Okay, so the area in the blue includes the fact that we can take on your service requests as well as your incidents, and our model is unlimited. So that was more of the industry view. Let's break down our services from the ITIL view in terms of service delivery, right? So by combining the break fix with traditional application management services, we do 3 things. We deliver an unlimited model with continuous improvements. It's a single source vendor with root cause problem solving expertise. And then finally, we have industry leading response time SLA. So the way that we've built our management services SLA is for the most common service requests. We actually will resolve those service requests within 4 hours. Now, what does that mean? That means reduced backlogs. That means a lower level of effort, right? So, and for the city of Tempe, you can very much see here that the idea of continuous improvements would be very important to improve their security workflow and processes. Okay. All right, so I'm going to wrap it up here before we open it up to questions. Just in summary, over the course of the last 15 years, Ramini Street has actually returned over $5 billion in working capital to the market that we created. We've broken traditional industry bundles. We've accelerated IT service delivery. You can see from our client examples, we unlocked working capital and we worked really hard to fortify their environments and secure their environments to maintain compliance. Okay. So with that, Jason, I'm going to go ahead and kick it back to you to open up for questions.
Thank you very much, Anne. Greatly appreciated. Love seeing case studies and some fantastic studies on show there. So very much appreciative. So I'm just going to tackle some of these questions here. First question I have is, so if I move away from Oracle, do I lose access to the software that I've licensed, and how does that work?
Sure. It's a very common question. So no. So the way that it works is, for example, for the city of Lexington, Kentucky, when they moved their PeopleSoft systems from Oracle to Ramini Street, they actually archive all of the software that they've paid Oracle for. So there's a window of time where we will archive all of the PeopleSoft, Oracle EBS, or SAP software that you've paid the vendor for. So as a part of our onboarding, you still have access to all the features and functionality that you've paid for. And you can actually move away from the vendor with respect to maintenance, move to Ramini Street. And once again, not only do we support the package applications in your environment, but we also support your customizations. So that's how it works.
Awesome. Can you give us an idea of kind of like the ideal situation of when Ramini Street would be brought in to kind of like start working with the organization? I mean, is there a level of kind of digital transformation maturity at certain stages? Like, talk us through that.
Sure. Well, I mean, a really good use case at a very broad level for us is a lot of our clients really are looking for a path to cloud, right? Or they're looking to move their ERP systems. Maybe it's a lift and shift strategy, right? Or they're looking to lower their overall compute costs. No matter what, if you look at what their vendor mix is going to look like 5, 6, 7 years down the line, we're a pretty good fit in terms of a vendor to help with that transition. Because keep in mind, if you're going through a major upgrade or a lift and shift, you're going to have to maintain 2 systems. They're going to have to coexist, right? And there is a significant amount of energy it's going to take to reconcile all of the customizations. So Ramini Street is a really good option to reduce your operational costs as a part of that journey. So I think the key takeaway there is if you want to reduce your vendor footprint, you really want to reduce your operating costs, because you know that you're going to have to maintain these older legacy mission critical systems for compliance, right? For compliance. So we're a really good fit to help companies that really want to contain costs and reduce their risk as a part of that transformation. Make sense?
Yeah, very much so. Thank you very much. Do you host applications as part of your management services?
We do not. So we don't. The clients that we run and maintain systems, I have to tell you, our clients have systems in different environments all over planet Earth. So for Ramini Street, we don't do the hosting. We don't do 5 nines. No, so our resolution-based SLA is really at the application level, right? And it's a response-based SLA for the product support level. But no, we do not do the infrastructure or hosting.
Got you. In planning for S4 and migrating to it, how do you help your clients with the necessary business changes? Are you able to handle the project management role for this migration?
Right. That is business that we do. Okay, we do functional analysis, and we work with our SAP clients to inventory software and features and functions that they currently have. Like, what is their functional roadmap for their on-prem systems, right? What does that look like? What is the potential impact, right? In terms of level of effort. That's where we fit. And that's more of a consulting engagement for Ramini Street. We do not do the full upgrade. As a matter of fact, we cooperate with many global SIs and system integrators as they make the move, and they actually do the migration. So that's a broader effort. So, but I mean, our value prop and our play is really the run and maintain, right? And to lower those costs and just attack those backlogs and make sure the systems that you're moving away from, right, have a lower overall operating cost.
Thank you. How does your service level agreement work?
Sure. So for our actually clients are able to, companies are able to consume Ramini Street services in two ways. Okay. So as you saw with the city of Lexington, they actually adopted our product support services. That's the stuff in the yellow that I presented, right? So that comes with a response-based SLA. So it's 10 minutes or less. I think we average under 2 minutes. And with that response-based SLA for break fix, right? We actually, our clients have the ability to tell us what the severity is. So the way that our service works is if you log a case with us for product support, right, and break fix, you tell us if it's a P1. You tell us if it's a P2. It's a little bit different than what SAP and Oracle do. Now, the second bit of that equation is the management services. So typically what happens is that you cannot purchase our application management services independent of product support. They come together. But for clients who adopt our management services capabilities, or that stuff that was in the blue, right? So that's where we step in and support your incidents and your service requests, right? That's a resolution-based SLA, okay? That's where we move into having specific fulfillment targets for the most common service requests, like add new user, right? Or change security or access requests, or can I please have access to an application? It's a lot of the day-to-day stuff that should be easy to close very quickly, right? But as we've proven, a lot of our clients are really backlogged with that. So that's a huge issue. So for our product support services in the yellow, when you move maintenance from SAP and Oracle, it's resolution-based SLA. When you layer in the management services capabilities and we step into front end the break fix, it's a resolution-based SLA. I think I said that correctly, Jason, didn't I? Response to that. So.
Yes.
You're tired, buddy. I know.
Okay, great. Another question coming in: if a client has spent time going toward a plain vanilla version of SAP, it does reduce the business case to some degree to use Rimini.
I agree. No, yeah. I mean, if you're using a lot of the off the shelf, of course, right? So, I mean, is there opportunity for us to perhaps run and maybe support the database layer, right? Maybe you've got a database footprint, you're going through some sort of a project where you're consolidating your databases, or you have really super old database footprint, right? That's very vulnerable. Consider us for that.
Awesome. And the final slide you put up there, you know, was very kind of like clear in the amount of money being saved ultimately. So what questions really should IT leaders in organizations, and obviously, you know, considering our audience here, state, local education organizations, what questions should they kind of be asking themselves, and what answers should they be looking for to the point where they say, this is where I think we should talk to Ramini?
Sure. Two questions. First question, do I continue to pay Oracle and SAP money, right, without getting a lot of innovation, right? So, you know, I think that's low-hanging fruit. If you could take your maintenance spend down, right, and your operational spend down, that to me is very clear. And then, you know, that question you really need to ask yourselves is, whose roadmap are you on? Are you on SAP or Oracle? And both those vendors have a remit to harvest their install base and move them to cloud and SaaS. So the first question is, whose roadmap am I on? The second question is this: if you look at how Ramini Street has designed our product support and our managed services portfolio, right? So why pay two vendors, right? One to break things, and because we're seeing a lot of managed service providers that may have lower skill sets, right? So you're paying two vendors to solve the same problem. So the second question is, as your system environment evolves, if you don't see your ERP system as a platform for innovation, you really should look at your overall vendor mix. If you're truly in run and maintain mode, why not look at a company like Ramini Street, who knows how the software is designed to work in the first place and will help to improve your business processes? So, the second question is, what's your vendor strategy? If you're looking to reduce your overall vendor footprint, we're a good fit for that. Make sense?
Brilliant. Perfect sense. Yes, thank you very much. I hope everyone took heed there and starts asking themselves those questions. Continuation from the SAP piece as well. One of the issues with SAP database is the history of data that remains in it. Even though some data should be disposed of, the CFO may disagree with me. Do you have a time limit on the data inside SAP, nothing more than 10 years old for as long as the system runs, or something else, as the database will grow and grow over time?
Right. I'm going to take that question offline because I could respond with oh, it depends. But I'd like, actually, whoever's asking that question, I'd like to engage with you one-on-one. So we have seen that. And what I'd like to do is connect you with our database experts. So I am not a database expert, but I work with really smart database guys. So if I could, if we could take that offline, Jason, and if I can connect with that user, that'd be great.
Of course, when you said play this offline, he also commented ha 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 as well. So he understands.
Whoever that
completely
is,
understands.
I will find that person on LinkedIn. Okay, I don't know who it is.
She's coming for you, Michael. That's fantastic. Well, that brings an end to the line of questioning here. So I want to thank you very, very, very much. And ask the audience to join me in a collective round of applause, not only for a fantastic session, but also a bit of a round of applause for every single speaker that's come before you as well prior to this session.